Catching a Killer, the latest book in GIB Consultancy's crime reference series, escorts the reader through crime scenes past and present, allowing you to play the detective. Combining the knowledge of crime historian Stephen Wade and former senior detective Stuart Gibbon. Begin your investigation with Catching a Killer from gibconsultancy.co.uk. This is Natalie Rolls, and you are listening to the Bill Podcast. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, and gibconsultancy.co.uk. Welcome to the finale of my trilogy of podcasts with the one and only Paul Marquess. I've had so many messages from fans who have been enjoying this interview. Thank you all for your kind comments. There's more gold dust to come in this final part, but I'm not going to spoil what we talk about, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Was it your idea to change the title sequence?
I have a funny story about that, which is before I was doing the bill, I was at a post-production house in London doing something else. And they said, we've just done the new titles for the bill. And they said, it's a bit naughty. Do you want to see them? I went, oh, yeah, all right then. And they showed me the new titles and new music. And they were the worst thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I had to go, well, they're great. And so when I arrived, there was normally, if you arrive and show at the bill, you go, titles and music don't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's sort the show out. And then we'll do all that later on down the line. But no, it was on my list.
First thing.
And all we did really was go back to the original, I think, with the music. I think that's all we did. Overdrive, it's called Overdrive. I wanted it to sound more like a cop show and less like whatever it was they wanted to sound. I think it had a real identity crisis for a while. And being in that job, I mean, I was very lucky. I had a very clear brief from ITV in Thames. Really, really clear. I don't think my predecessors had in the same way. I think there was lots of different constituencies. There were the writers, there were the producers, there was Thames, there was ITV, la, 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 la. And it was really, ITV just said to me, you need to turn this around, make it popular, get them grab it down, blah, 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 blah. And they were in the meeting with Thames, and Alan Boyd was great. I mean, love Alan Boyd. I have nothing but, good things to say about him. And he just got it. So I was very lucky. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have to spend all my time going, well, what about this? What about that? It was really, really clear. So even things like that, if I said, I want to change the titles, I'm like, okay, all right then. As I say, I'm sort of musically illiterate really, but I knew it just had to sound a bit more serious and a bit more grounded and a bit more like Police Officers on the Streets of London. I mean, the other thing they'd done before I arrived was, because it had gone to hours, lots of the directors felt that hours meant you need to lay track, change the shooting style, become much more composed. And my thing about the bill was, you could say to my mum and dad, talk about the bill where it's shot. And what they say is shaky camera. And that had been sort of thrown away a little bit as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I just said, we literally physically took the track and locked it in the cupboard and wouldn't let me use it. And said the handheld camera, the classic shot is follow some police officers up to the front door, bang, bang, bang the door, they push their way and you follow them after. That's what the bill is. And it had become all composed shots and people laying track. And so it was just going, well, what is the show? And let's make that, not all these other iterations and building Reg Hollis's house.
And expand the toilets. That was one of your ideas. Do you remember?
Yeah, somewhere for women to talk.
That's what happens in the loos. Yeah. Chats, kisses, fights. It was so
Yeah, it was. That's what it was
it
for.
was. I mean, I can see you now scurrying along like into your
Stomping.
room.
There's a lot of stomping. Yeah.
It must have been frightening to take that on.
But also, day one, I met 300 people who all knew my name. I didn't remember anyone's name, you know? So then at 4 years ago, going, hello, Paul, I go, hello,
Who are
whoever
you?
you are. And they kept changing as well. So, but it was brilliant. I mean, a bit of me wishes I'd done it when I was a bit older. And then I think, but actually, I wouldn't have been quite so gung ho. And it needed gung ho. You know, it needed to just go in and go, right, we're just doing all this. And let's just blow the police station up. What does that mean? Don't know. What in Trevor Jordache from Brookside as a red herring? Not enough people got that joke, I think. You know, there's Trevor Jordache. You know, could it be him that was at the police station? Because I knew it was going to be Paul Ursher that did it. He was also in Brooklyn. Anyway, you get the joke.
Yeah, yeah. I used to wince when people said it was a soap, but it was a serial drama.
Well, the thing that was always, you know, chicken and egg, because we would, if it hadn't have been a serial drama, blah, 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 fewer people would have watched it, you know, and I've never been that asked about all that. I mean, we went from being sort of dead to winning the National Television Award. And as everyone says on the podium, that's sort of for by the public. And also for me, because we're up against Bad Girls, made by my friends at Shared, Footballers' Wives, which I came up with,
Yeah.
and the bill won. And it's one of the happiest nights of my life. You know, it was just brilliant because, and you know, lots of my contemporaries said to me when I took on the bill, you'll never fix that. And to me, it seemed like a real opportunity. You know, if you're going to, you know, when I took on Brookside, it was okay. It needed this, and you know, and also because Phil was always there, it was always his show to some extent. The bill was mine for 4 years. It was mine. And I was either going to fall on my arse or Co-op Smelling of Roses, sort of. I mean, not all the 400 episodes were a work of genius, but it wasn't about that, was it? It was about, you know, the momentum of it and turning it into something that became a sort of appointment of view, which I think it did. I loved it. You know? Making a show that I would like to watch. You know what I mean? And lots of people wanted to watch, and I think that's what we did. Not just the producers, but you know, the writers and also the actors. You know, God, we had a good cast. Really, really good cast. Apart from Natalie, who was a bit, you know. But we know that.
Is there anything you didn't get to do on the bill or wish you'd done differently?
Oh, there's lots of things we could have done better and differently, you know, and some of that is just down to logistics. It used to feel like we'd have cast a 28, but I could never have any of them.
All busy.
Well, you know, everybody has to have a holiday. God, you know, that sort of thing. You say, well, why can I have Debbie in this? But no. And also, there are 4 units, so you could only have, you know, across 8 episodes, you have someone like Natalie, and you know, you can only shoot so many scenes in a day, and logistics moving from unit to unit, all of that. So there was a lot of logistics in that show. And also, I'd come from Brookside, but I think we had a cast of about 15 or something. Bill was 28, and 28 was, given the logistics, was small. Really, he wanted 35, and I wouldn't have 35. I thought for the audience that was starting to get ridiculous. 28 still is mad. I think it must be, and I don't know that anyone ever says this, it must be the biggest TV drama production the world has ever known, ever. Because one year we did 104 hours. And as you know very well, Natalie, most of that was on location. So there were 3 and often 4 units shooting the whole time. It was absolutely enormous. When you talk to Americans about that, I used to making, you know, 26 of the X-Files or 26 of the other. You know, when I used to go to LA when we were making the bill and explain what it was I did, they would faint. You know, it was absolutely huge. Much, much bigger than any of the soaps. Much bigger than any of the soaps. I didn't really know that before I took it over. That was a bit of a, oh, this is huge, isn't it? I see. Oh, right. It's on location. I mean, again, it was good. It's good I didn't know, because I might say no.
I think the people underrate that a lot. Like if you, like you said, you have 4 units, sometimes 5 if there was
Yeah.
pick up stuff from other, you know, bad weather days.
Yeah.
That was extraordinary.
No, and also you guys turning up on set and basically, you know, you could be doing 4, 5, 6, sometimes 8 episodes in a day. You
Yeah.
know, different scenes from different episodes. So you know, the quality of the work was extraordinary. And I have been watching some of those episodes recently and thinking they're really, really good. the actors that we kept and the actors that we brought in, what they had in common was the characters were very clearly defined. And the acting was really, really strong. You couldn't cast bland actors. Everybody had to have they need to have a strong flavor. Scott Maslin's a really good example. I love Scott, but he's never done anything better than Phil Hunter. God, he was brilliant as Phil Hunter. He was made to play Phil Hunter. A bit like Robbie was made to play Gina Gold. We knew what we needed. I remember there was a sort of whiteboard with descriptions of those characters. Gina Gold was sort of codenamed Gold for ages. That's why she's Gina Gold, because she's gold. You know what I mean? She's gold character. Hunter was a hunter. Eva Sharp was really sharp. Sure. And if you look back and you think, it sounds really obvious now. You had to find the right people to do it. Diane I'd wanted from them. Oh. I'd worked with Diane before, so I phoned Diane and said, she went, "Oh, hello." I said, "Oh, hiya, Diane." I said, "Look, I've just taken over the bill." She went, "Hang on a minute, I'm just on the bus. Hang on." And I said, "Okay, what? I'm back. What?" And I said, "Do you want to be in the bill?" And she went, "All right then."
Oh, I love Diane. When she left to go to MIT, I was like, "Oh, do you think Debs is going to join Sharp?" Because we just loved being together. We just loved it.
I hope you can tell that I loved it. The fact I can sit and wang on about it still. The thing that I discovered coming from soap doing the bill is crime is great. Crime gives you instant human interest, gives you instant stakes, gives you structure. Crime investigation gives you great structure. And once you've done it, and then you go to stuff that, I went to run Hollyoaks. After I found Hollyoaks very hard because we could sort of do anything. You know what I mean? It felt sort of floppy compared to the bill. The bill was very light. There needs to be a crime and you have to investigate it. There's a proper grammar to it. Whereas pure soap is just like these people sitting around talking. I really found it very, very hard to go back to. And I think I'd find it very hard now. I spend so much of my time talking to writers about, it used to be the same on the bill. Right would come to you with a great crime story and you go, right, okay, we don't tell the story. Write the investigation of that story. Okay. No. Write the investigation of that story entirely from the police point of view. And we had some very, very well-established writers who get to first draft and go, I can't do this. I just can't do it. It's a proper skill. It's a proper talent. And also the other thing that writers used to suffer from, and they still do, is what I call very, very severe case of know the enditis. The thing about writing an investigation is you've got to write it like you don't know where it's going. You've got to. Obviously, you do know where it's going and you need to aim towards, the solution, but you're going to write it in a way that the audience don't see that coming. And that is hard. And I learned that really in the first year or so in the bill. It took me, I didn't walk in the door. I thought I walked in the door thinking I knew everything about TV. It turned out I didn't. And I had to learn all of that on the bill. And it has served me really, really well. And it's, now when I'm writing episodes of other stuff, I thank God for the bill because it made me think about all of that in a way that I just wouldn't have done. Jake introduced me to Jackie really early on. Jackie Moulton had been there as a police advisor. He said she should come back as a story consultant. He was absolutely right. I thank Jake for introducing me to Jackie. We hit it off. We had a house on fire from the start. What a crazy woman she is. And she was sitting next to me in story conference and we just slag each other off, basically. But I had a room built that was quite a big room with whiteboards on 4 walls. So we could do 6 months around the walls or a year and before the bill had been an episode, then another episode, we were able to plan it right through. And that's really, really, really exciting. Whoever the writers were on the block, we'd bring in for that meeting. And again, they'd never had that and they didn't get that on other shows like Holby or Casualty either. And it really, really worked. People were very connected into the process. And it was a hoot. Yes, it was a hoot. Sometimes it wasn't a hoot. Sometimes it was hard. But on the whole, it was a really good laugh. It's also the space where you can say things that sound completely insane, and often in them there is a grain of something that ends up being Todd Garcia, or ends up being Debbie getting pregnant in a disabled toilet with Chandler, while June Ackland is hopping around outside.
That was so funny. June just outside the loo. We were in there and it was just like, oh my God, we're just completely brilliant.
It's one of my favourite moments.
She's going, hurry up.
Came straight from story conference because I remember sitting in story conference and it's all eating ourselves with laughter. June's outside. There's a queue of the ladies. June goes to the disabled toilet. She bangs on the door. There's someone in there, and we cut inside, and it's those two. As a memorial service for the police. So it's bad. It's bad.
Brilliant.
They're bad people that we love to watch. And I ended up in the members' dining room at the House of Commons as guest of honor at the Lesbian Gay Peace Association. And they hadn't told me I had to make a speech. By the time we came to make a speech, I was really drunk. And they showed the gay kiss, and me and Jackie Moulton showed the gay kiss, and all these real police officers were crying. You know, it was, and I ended up, you know, having dinner at Scotland Yard with the commissioner on a number of occasions. It was all mad. And, you know, it's very interesting. You go back to the gay kiss. When we started it, the attitude of Scotland Yard to the bill was they were very happy to cooperate on a day-to-day level. And they were great, actually. But their attitude to it was quite dismissive. And there was a piece in The Independent about what I was going to do to the bill and how I was going to make it mental, you know, and soapy and da 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 da. And we got this letter from the DPA, which is the press office at Scotland Yard, basically warning me off from doing any of this. So me and Jackie Moulton went to see them at Scotland Yard and basically said, don't tell us what to do in the bill. Then it all came on screen, and particularly at a time when we're bringing in Pal Aaron and Darren Parish and then Cyril and Rhea and all the rest of it. And it ends up, so John Stevens, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, who's a very smart guy, saying to me, you've saved us a fortune because we were going to do a massive diversity push and we don't need to do it now because you've done it on screen. My other regret was after Cyril and Rhea, after Cairo, the next superintendent was going to be a woman, but I left before we did that. After I left, they put another man, they put a white man. Anyway, I shouldn't say these things. It just seemed like like an open goal that had been missed, you know.
Yeah, they wasted that one.
It was capable of setting the agenda in a really interesting way, in a quiet, soft power sort of way. You could set the agenda from gay kisses to Kathy Bradford being a racist who's obsessed with an Asian officer. Obsessed. I think there were things we could have done better. You know what I mean? Sometimes you look at a story and go, actually, that was a bit too soapy, or that wasn't soapy enough. Generally, I'm very proud of the crime stories. You know, the slightly unsung bit was, you know, there's so many good, really chewy crime stories and so many issues that we tackled in one way or another without making it sound really dull. And some really, really good writers. I still work with a writer called Catherine Smith, who's write absolutely brilliant episodes of The Bill. And, you know, Catherine would come, she wanted to do one about, you know, Iranian asylum seekers. And I go, oh, right then. It was brilliant. She once said to me, oh, I get it now. She said, you do all your soapy stuff and snogging at the end so we can do our proper crime stories. And I thought, well, if this relationship works, we are friends. If this relationship works, then that's great, you know. I think 4 years was probably enough, maybe a bit too long for one person to do that. I think we really should do it for 2 or 3. By the end, I think I felt I was slightly starting to repeat myself and I needed a break from it. And I mean, they really wanted me to stay, you know, and they did all this stuff about, which you would do, you know, right, stay, don't run the bill, just look after it. I think, well, that's not going to happen, is it? I mean, you know, come on. The figures on the bill are down. Who's going to sort that out? You know what I mean? So I needed to make a clean break. And I sort of went into wilderness of development for like 5 years after it. I just didn't really know what to do with myself. But I think I thought it was for the good of the show that somebody else came in. I didn't invent it. Do you know what I mean? And those shows do need constant reinvention.
Would you say you'd saved The Bill? Was it going to be taken off?
There was a moment of panic. Yeah, there was before my episodes aired, there was a real moment of panic where they dropped it down to 1 a week, ITV. And then we had a meeting with David Berg, who's the scheduler, which was a bit like Thames coming to ITV and going, hello, we are changing this. What are you doing? If you drop, and also by dropping down to 1 a week, they were delaying my episodes coming on a lot. You know, so we went to David Berg and we told him what we're doing. He went, oh, okay. And he was a very clever man, David Berg. He went, oh, I'll put it back to 2 a week and I'll give you 3 the episode, the week you brought the police station. Well, brought the police station on a Tuesday, opposite Holby. And then I'll give you the Wednesday and Thursday as well. And he said, if that works, I'll give you a slot after Coronation Street. And then we were rocking and rolling, But I obviously didn't save it because it's not on the telly anymore. And I got it recommissioned for 5 years. And then my heart got broken, absolutely. So no, did I say I think I got a temporary reprieve? It seems extraordinary to me that Casualty is still on TV and the Bill is not. I don't understand it. If Casualty is 5, why can't the Bill? But hey,
Yeah. I mean, if it was rebranded as something else, then I don't know. I mean, there's all this talk.
I have been involved in various discussions for the past 10 years, and eventually, about 2 years ago, I said to various people, I am out. I just needed to wise up and think, actually, it was the best job I ever did. It won't be the same again. Bringing anything back is always really, 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 really high risk. And I'd rather do, and frankly, now I'd rather do my own stuff and do new stuff, But I do think it's a terrible, terrible shame, And now you meet kids who never heard of it, that makes me feel.
But as I said before, there are kids that the reruns, they see it through their through the parents' eyes. It will never die. There's lots of people out there.
Fremantle still make a lot of money out of the Bill every year. I know that because I was there relatively recently, and I went back, and those checks were still rolling in. It's still, it still sells, but it's sad. Hey ho, that's a bit of a downer, isn't it?
No, let's not be down. You're on Hope Street now.
Don't be Debbie Downer, Natalie.
No, don't be a Debbie Downer. I know, it's Debbie lives on somewhere and her son is 16.
I think he's really, really screwed up, that child. Imagine.
Oh my God. Poor Andrew having to listen to stories of his dad. Yeah, really screwed up. Have you ever bumped into Stephen on Mr. Hartley on anything?
I bump into Stephen ever so often in the street. That's right.
Do you?
I do love Stephen Hartley. And generally, I won't be long and I hear this voice. Yeah, I love Stephen Hartley. Always a pleasure to see him.
I saw him in lockdown for a dog walk. Because he'd moved out to Tunbridge Wells and I'm in Brighton. So we did a meet in the middle. That was really nice to see him. And Beth's in Sussex, so I see Beth.
We had Beth in Suspects, so playing a deranged murdering woman. I think, was she the murderer? No, she wasn't. She wasn't the murderer, but she was deranged.
Deranged. There you are, deranged Beth.
She's really good.
Amazing.
Nice to see her. Yes.
And Donna, send my best to Donna.
Yes, absolutely. She's stuck with me.
Well, you were always walking along that corridor together, looking very busy.
Well, we were, but all the night. I mean, I think she was busy.
Yeah.
Making up for me, making up for my, I am better now at production than I was then. I didn't have a clue. So,
well, that's 20 years ago.
I always say I'm the person who ruined the Bill. So,
no.
There was the internet was quite new, and there was a whole fan site, which is Paul Marquess Must Die, which my brother showed to my mother, and she got really upset. She thought I'm really going to kill me. So
what's your message to the fans of your era of the Bill now, if you had a message to them?
I'm just really glad people enjoyed it. Do you know what I mean? You never know. I genuinely feel, all that matters is the audience. I really do think that. And, I think it worked. The figures went up. But we didn't really expect the figures to go up. That was a surprise. We expected the demographic to improve. Because ITV had actually said to us, this is very boring answer to your question. ITV had actually said to us, it doesn't really matter about the overnight, it matters about the demographic. But that to me was really exciting, So I look back and I think we did manage to well, here's the thing that I do always say. I think this is so pretentious, but I also think it's true. As a country, we really miss it. We really miss something being on twice a week that's about ordinary police officers, men and women doing their best. We used to have always one bad apple in CID and one bad apple in uniform. That was my absolute limit, because the ethos of the show was these people might be flawed, but like most real police officers, they are doing their best. And I think trusting the police is for lots of good reasons, but trusting the police is, as bad as it's ever been. And trusting the police is really, really important, really important. So when I took it over, my attitude to the police was a bit like, I was a bit old lefty. I'm still an old lefty, but I'm with the police, blah, blah, blah. I got to know lots of real police officers. Jackie Moulton's a really good example, and for all that Jackie is an ocean-going lunatic, she's one of the most remarkable people I've ever met. And when she talks about being a police officer, it's humbling, it really is. There was something that 8, 9, 10 million people watched twice a week that humanized the police, that made us feel that they were like us in a really subconscious, below the radar sort of way. I think we really, really miss. And I remember saying that to various people at ITV around it, and I was miles away from it when it was, getting towards the end. But I knew it was going to be taken off a year before it was announced. I just knew, because of what people at ITV had said to me. And I did do a little bit of quiet begging. And that was part of my appeal, which was actually, there's a public service there as well. So what I said to people who liked it then, I really hope you enjoyed it. And God, it was hard work, but it was a joy to do. When I left, one of my, I went to Fremantle and I said, I've done this for 4 years, I have to stop. It was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It really was. But what was holding me back was I really wanted to finish off Todd Carty's story myself, But then you think, no. That's just, now you're being a crazy person. Because of EastEnders, people have forgotten what a good actor Todd Carty is. They've just forgotten, because he was brilliant in Grange Hill and he was really, really good in EastEnders. But there's something about this. There was something about that character in EastEnders. You just thought he'd become slightly wallpaper because he was so good at it. I thought, I know he can act. Let's turn it on its head. So I met up with him in his agent's office, and he was a bit like, "What's this about? What's this about?" Because he'd left EastEnders, and they were doing that thing at the BBC of, where you can be a porter in Casualty, you can be a porter in Holding, like just taking him for granted. And I said to someone at ITV, "What would you think if we nicked Todd Carty?" He went, "Oh God, what a brilliant idea!" So I said he said, "Well, Toy, what would that be?" And I said, I can't use the word I used. I said, "You've been an absolute bastard." I didn't use that word. And he basically said, "You had me at whatever that 4-letter word is." And that's what we did. And it was brilliant. And I loved the early stuff. He started this group in the police station called Swamp, which was straight, white and male police. And it only really had Kieran Griffith's character, Gary, in it. And some of it was very, very funny, but just playing an unreconstructed bastard, basically. And it was Todd Carty. To me, it was irresistible, and it really, really worked. And my God, he's a lovely man. What a lovely man.
Oh, he's a gorgeous man.
If ever I meet him, I have to apologise for leaving and not finishing his story properly. So I think the minute I was gone, they went, "Let's just get the character out the door." I was very proud of that. I won't apologise for casting Todd.
Oh, Paul, thank you so much. I've jumped back 20 years and it's really nice to see you.
Huge pleasure. It's very nice to do it with you, Natalie, because as I say, you were, you know what I mean? I look back and I think it was you and it was Simon, that story. I remember because I was so scared of it, and when that story started to play out on screen, I thought, oh, this might work, this really might work. And all that, and it's all the layers of that and all the stuff in Stephen Hartley's character's past, and you know what I mean? And I remember lots of that came out of talking to police officers, it was all the elements coming together in the right way. And so it's good to remember all that. And it's nice to hopefully get across, I didn't go in to kill it. I didn't go in to destroy it. I went in to save it. And also to say, which, I've never said in public, I don't think, what a terrible shame it got decommissioned. You know what I mean? What a terrible shame. This is a tragedy, I think. Lovely to see it happening.
Oh, take care, Paul. Thank you. Our huge thanks to Paul for being such a wonderful guest. I really enjoyed reconnecting with him again. Would you like to hear more from behind-the-scenes personnel on the podcast? Well, there are over 100 episode commentaries on Patreon featuring writers, directors, producers, stage managers, camera operators, and so many more legends from behind the scenes of The Bill. Join the ranks on patreon.com/The Bill Podcast. This is Natalie Rolls, and you have been listening to The Bill Podcast. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, and gibconsultancy.co.uk. The Bill Podcast is produced by Oliver Crocker, co-produced by Ben Adams, Glenn Allen, Rob Cook, Glenn Cooney, Georgina Dark, Sarah Kuiper, Bryony Kelly, Maz Mirabilis, Alex Mockler, and Simon Wolfe. Our executive producers are Isabel Allen, Ben Ashmore, Mark Bennett, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Stuart Gibbon, Luke Hegarty, Robert Hoger, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Thomas Johnston, Lucy McNeil, Gary Moncur, Danny Morris, Steph Morris, Claire Norbury, Laura Pinney-Fay, Alistair Wrigley, Michael Seeley, Nicholas Shaw, Tom Sherrington, Natalie Smart, Angel Stannard, Paul Statter, Patrick Stratford, Michael Weil, and Sarah Went. Huge thanks to all you lovely producers who make the Bill Podcast possible. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.